Chapter 42. Wait for me there, I'll find you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On September 23, after the morning review, the military training at the University of Finance and Economics officially ended. Chen Changliu and the others did not bid farewell to the instructor with tears. After bidding farewell to the instructor, they dispersed. After returning to the dormitory, I grabbed some things and left the school alone. Then I bought a set of casual trousers, a shirt and a pair of leather shoes at a nearby mall. Back at the rented house, after taking a shower, I changed my clothes and looked in the mirror, wearing a slim-fitting blue striped white shirt, navy blue casual trousers, and a pair of brown brogue leather shoes. He completely became a different person, giving him a more mature temperament than his actual age. He looked like an urban white-collar worker. Well, not bad, it looks much more pleasing to the eye this way. That the reason why Chen Changliu changed into such clothes was because he and his agency were going to visit a factory in the afternoon. It was not good to dress too much like a student. At the appointed time, I went to Fanyudashi Industrial Park with the agent. Mr. Chen, the factory we are looking at today is a detached building with 3 floors. The first and second floors are 300 square meters each, and the third floor is 100 square meters. It is now a BP machine manufacturer. We can no longer work. We will cancel the lease in a few days. But because it is a single-family house, the rent is 10,000 per month. After looking at the site, Chen Changliu was very satisfied. The original boss had already planned the site, and the RD department, finance department, sales department, production department, administration department, etc. were separated to save him from further trouble. After directly signing the contract, Chen Changliu asked the intermediary to help find someone to register the company. As long as he gave the money, the intermediary would have many connections. Flower Planting Technology Company, Limited is the name of the company given by Chen Changliu. In this era, there was no such homophone. Those who didn't know it thought it was a flower planting company. However, such a name could still play a promotional role for him in later generations. If you don't use it, you won't use it. After the venue was settled, Chen Changliu was half relieved. When he returned to the rental house, it was already 5:30 p.m. He remembered what Zhiqiu said. Their military training also ended this morning. They could have dinner together in the evening and report their sovereignty. I changed my clothes, took a taxi and went directly to CUHK, on the campus of the Chinese University of Science and Technology. Zhiqiu was going downstairs with 2 classmates in the same dormitory. They wanted to go out for a walk and have a delicious meal to celebrate the end of military training. Walking on the campus, Zhiqiu became the focus of everyone's attention. There was no way, just now she was named the campus beauty of CUHK at the beginning of the school year, but Zhiqiu and the classmates around her were already used to it. A cute girl with a round face said with a smile, "Zhiqiu, after a military training, we have all become a lot darker. Unlike you, it is just a little bit darker, and it will definitely recover in a few days. I envy your skin." "No way, I've become so dark that I almost don't dare to see people anymore." Zhiqiu said in annoyance that she wanted to ask Chen Changliu to take her to buy a computer, but seeing that she was in trouble, she had no choice but to give up. She would call him out after a few days when she was almost recovered. Every girl wants to show her best side. In front of your lover. Before the round-faced girl could speak, another pretty girl next to her said speechlessly, "Zhiqiu, do you know what your behavior is? Hey, are you still letting us live?" Several people were walking on the campus talking and laughing, and Chen Changliu appeared in front of Zhiqiu. "Zhiqiu, I'm looking for you, we..." Before he could finish speaking, Zhiqiu interrupted him directly, "Chen Changliu, please call me by my name, or call me classmate. I don't want to be misunderstood by others, especially my boyfriend." Zhiqiu's words made Chen Changliu's face turn white and turn red. The 2 girls next to him watched this scene with great interest. As for the boyfriend Zhiqiu mentioned, Chen Changliu felt that she was using Chen Changliu as a shield. He would never believe that Chen Changliu had captured Zhiqiu in 2 months. "Okay, classmate Zhiqiu, our classmate in Yangqing has said that there will be a class reunion tomorrow, and I'm here to invite you." Hearing that it was a class reunion, Zhiqiu nodded in agreement. after notifying Du Zhiqiu, Chen Changliu did not leave, but continued to ask, "Where are you going?" "I will accompany you. I can help you carry your things. Besides, it is chaotic outside, so I will be safer here." The round-faced girl didn't think too much. Before Du Zhiqiu and the other two could speak, she said directly, "Okay, it's safer if you have someone to protect you." Du Zhiqiu and the pretty girl frowned slightly, but since the round-faced girl had agreed, they could only acquiesce. If Chen Changliu were here, he would definitely give her the attribution of big breasts and no brains. Two beauties. I am Du Zhiqiu's high school classmate. My name is Chen Changliu. What should I call you? That the round-faced girl smiled and replied, "My name is Li Cici, you can call me Cici." "Hello, classmate Cici," that the pretty girl said calmly, "Shenrong." "Hello, classmate Shenrong," that from beginning to end, Chen Changliu did a good job. It can be said that there is nothing rude. In addition, he is 176 centimeters tall and looks good. Although Shenrong is on Du Zhiqiu's side, I have to say that this guy is still pretty good. Of Du Zhiqiu and Shenrong were in front, Li Cici and Chen Changliu were behind, and Chen Changliu kept getting close to Li Cici. "Zhiqiu, do you really have a boyfriend?" Shenrong asked softly. "Well, haven't I told you several times?" "It's true, he is in his freshman year at the University of Finance and Economics," she said with a bright smile on her face. Shenrong was a little convinced when she saw this smile, but she couldn't figure out how a student from the University of Finance and Economics could pursue Du Zhiqiu, the most beautiful girl in the world. When passing by the canteen, Chen Changliu also bought 4 popsicles like a dog. Although Du Zhiqiu didn't want to eat them, she didn't want to embarrass Chen Changliu. After all, he did nothing wrong. Before they left the school gate, Du Zhiqiu's phone rang. She picked it up and saw the note on it was a little hooligan. She smiled unconsciously and walked a few steps quickly to distance herself from them. The others saw the change in her expression. Li Cici and Shenrong were curious, while Chen Changliu was nervous. Did Du Zhiqiu really have a boyfriend? As soon as the call was connected, before Du Zhiqiu could speak, Chen Changliu's voice came from the phone. "Beauty, there is a quiz with prizes, do you want to come?" What's the prize?" "The prize is a handsome guy, how about it?" "Childish, narcissistic, he is not a little gangster." "Humph, don't worry about it, I just ask you if you want to come." Okay, you tell me." "Guess where I am." "If you guess wrong, you will be punished." Hearing Chen Changliu's question, how could the smart Du Zhiqiu not guess it, and said in surprise, "You are in our school, where are you?" "Wait for me there, I will find you." Du Zhiqiu's surprise was also heard by the other 3 people. The 2 girls were curious about who came, and Chen Changliu frowned even deeper. Chapter 43 Feed the Dog Food at Zhongda University. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hanging up the phone, Du Zhiqiu happily ran to Shenrong and Li Cici, and asked nervously while fixing his hair. "Rong, Cici, is my hair messy? Is the clothes I wore today good-looking?" Shenrong and Li Cici were stunned. "Oh my god, this is Du Zhiqiu." You know, in the past half-month, Du Zhiqiu didn't care too much about her personal image. She is extremely beautiful, and she is always without makeup. No matter what clothes she wears, it doesn't affect her, but now I received a call and asked others to wait and went to find someone myself. After all, Zhongda is so big that it is really difficult to find someone who is not familiar with it. But you are asking us if your clothes are good-looking. This is really incredible. Zhiqiu, you are already very beautiful, I am very curious, who is here? Do you need to care so much? Shenrong asked puzzledly, and Chen Changliu and Li Cici also looked at Du Zhiqiu. Du Zhiqiu's mind was full of Chen Changliu. After all, the 2 hadn't seen each other for almost a month. They were just in love, so why should they care about other people's opinions? "My boyfriend, he came to see me." "Really, he didn't inform me before coming, so I was not prepared." "Okay, I won't talk to you anymore." I'm going to find him. Shenrong and Li Sisi were surprised. Although Du Zhiqiu always said that she had a boyfriend, and often sent text messages and phone calls, and even said that her boyfriend was studying at the University of Finance and Economics, everyone in their dormitory was still skeptical. After all, would a top student from Lingzhong University like a classmate who only got into the second-tier university? However, the two reacted quickly and grabbed Du Zhiqiu's hand when she turned around to leave. Why are you in a hurry? What's wrong with asking him to wait a little longer, especially for a big beauty like our Zhiqiu? Humph, let's go, we'll go with you. I want to see what kind of little white face seduced our Zhongda campus belle. Du Zhiqiu saw that her bestie had held her back, so what else could she say? Okay. Then the three girls ignored Chen Changliu and walked towards the gate, while Chen Changliu looked unhappy. He was unwilling to give up, so he took out his mobile phone and sent a text message. Chen Changliu, who was asked by Du Zhiqiu to wait in place, was at the gate of Zhongda University. Looking at the students coming in and out of Zhongda University, it was indeed a key university, and it should be in the top 10 in the country. The proportion of students wearing glasses is much higher than that of the University of Finance and Economics. Many people can be seen as nerds at first glance, but the girls are much worse in appearance than those of the University of Finance and Economics. After a while, Du Zhiqiu and others had arrived at the gate. She recognized Chen Changliu with his back to her at a glance. After all, his height was outstanding, and his back was too familiar. The bright smile on Du Zhiqiu's face made her exude amazing charm, which made some male students passing by stunned. He ran over, and then covered Chen Changliu's eyes from behind, pretending to say in a low voice. Guess who I am? Du Zhiqiu's intimate behavior broke the hearts of the male students at the gate of Zhongda University instantly. Only a small number of boys stubbornly comforted themselves that it was Du Zhiqiu's brother or younger brother, but then their hearts were immediately cold. Chen Changliu, whose eyes were covered, of course knew who it was. He suddenly grabbed Du Zhiqiu's little hand and pulled it forward, saying at the same time. Such a smooth little hand can only be possessed by Zhiqiu in my family. Ah! Du Zhiqiu was startled by Chen Changliu's action, and the whole person threw himself directly on Chen Changliu's back. The soft collision not only made Du Zhiqiu make an sound, but also made her face red and her heartbeat accelerated. Chen Changliu almost made a comfortable sound. It was indeed comfortable. This girl usually doesn't eat much, but she has grown all the meat that should grow. It seems that what she eats is supplemented in these places where meat should grow. The action of the two directly broke the hearts of all the middle school students who were holding on to the fluke mentality, and then everyone looked ugly. Shenrong and Li Sisi looked at each other and saw shock in each other's eyes. What Du Zhiqiu said to them was true, and the intimacy between the two showed that Du Zhiqiu cared about this boy very much. This man is very tall and has a good figure. This alone can score 8 points. I don't know how he looks. It should be good, otherwise how could Zhiqiu be interested in him? Li Sisi, a little beauty with big breasts and no brains, is a face party. When she saw Chen Changliu's figure, she started to score. Can looks be eaten? I don't think Zhiqiu is such a superficial woman. Shenrong did not agree with Li Sisi's point of view and refuted. She was the type who focused on the inner self, so the two often argued in the dormitory, but now the two are more and more interested in this man who conquered Du Zhiqiu, the school belle, and at this time, Chen Changliu finally turned around. The sunny and handsome face and the smile that could easily infect others made Shenrong and Li Sisi think that this man was very handsome and charming. So handsome, my type. Li Sisi blurted out, but this time Shenrong did not refute her. She also thought this man was very charming. Chen Changliu turned around, but did not let go of Du Zhiqiu. He held Du Zhiqiu's little hand and looked up and down at his girlfriend who he hadn't seen for nearly a month. Well, it's a little darker, but it doesn't affect the charm of my Zhiqiu. Although she blushed a little when Chen Changliu held her little hand in public, her longing for him for so long overshadowed her shyness, and she allowed Chen Changliu to pull him and look him up and down, and she also looked at Chen Changliu. Chen Changliu's smile is still so sunny. He was a sports person in high school. He is neither white nor black, but bronze. This time, half a month of military training has made him darker, but it does not give people the feeling of black coal. Healthy complexion. Seeing that Du Zhiqiu was silent and just looking at him intently, Chen Changliu could see the love in her eyes and felt soft in his heart. He stretched out his hand to straighten her hair on the temples, and then touched her smooth face. His movements were so gentle, Du Zhiqiu could feel the love from his movements. Suddenly, she stood on tiptoes and kissed Chen Changliu's lips. Then when Chen Changliu wanted to take action, he took another step back, a mischievous expression on his face. When Chen Changliu was about to reciprocate, Shen Rong and Li Sisi beside him finally couldn't bear the large amount of dog food. Li Sisi said, "Okay, don't go too far. If you flirt so unscrupulously with our school beauty at the gate of our school, aren't you afraid that the boys in our school will riot in a while?" Li Sisi's words finally made the two of them no longer only have eyes for each other. Chen Changliu looked towards the direction where the voice came from. One was quiet and delicate, no worse than Bai Jing, and the other was, how to put it, a baby-faced giant dumpling, more lethal to men. Well, although this woman is not very beautiful, she is very beautiful. It is easy to arouse men's desire to be ravaged. Then Chen Changliu looked around. He could see envy, jealousy and hatred in the eyes of those men, and he felt like they were going to tear him apart. "Che, can you eat me? They are just declaring sovereignty and force-feeding you dog food." Chapter 44 Du Zhiqiu protects his child. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Changsheng, who followed out, saw all this. His face was livid, his teeth were gritted, his fists were clenched tightly, and he was roaring in his heart. Why? Why did a guy like a little gangster become Du Zhiqiu's boyfriend? What is good about him and what is outstanding about him? But no matter how unfair he felt in his heart, the scene of two hands holding each other tightly was right in front of him. He took a few deep breaths to calm down his inner emotions, and then walked towards Chen Changliu and Du Zhiqiu expressionlessly. What are you doing here? What's your purpose in getting close to Du Zhiqiu? Stop pestering her. You and we are not from the same world at all. You, a careless little bastard who is not filial to your parents, what can you bring to her? Chen Changsheng's words surprised Shen Rong and Li Sisi. They didn't know why Chen Changsheng would say such things. He seemed very hostile, and it wasn't just because of his love rival. Moreover, Chen Changsheng's words contained information about gangsters and unfilial parents that surprised them even more. Is this good-looking man really as unbearable as Chen Changsheng said? Then why would Zhiqiu be his? Where is the girlfriend? Could it be that he was threatening Zhiqiu? You must know that the gangsters outside are really doing this now, especially in high school. These gangsters will make it known that boys in the school are not allowed to approach certain beautiful girls and threaten to harass them to become their girlfriends. The two of them had a lot of thoughts. Chen Changliu looked at Chen Changsheng, who was acting like a clown there with great interest, but he simply ignored it. Anyway, the two of them had not had a trace of brotherhood since they were young. He now looks at Chen Changsheng's actions as if they are just a joke. Chen Changliu's ignoring behavior made Chen Changsheng even more annoyed. Just when he was about to continue to output firepower, Du Zhiqiu was unwilling. She always felt that family was a pain for Chen Changliu, so Chen Changsheng was here again and she felt that she should come out to defend her man. She turned to Chen Changsheng, her face was cold, her brows were furrowed, and she directly interrupted Chen Changsheng's words. Chen Changsheng, have you said enough? I know better than you what my boyfriend is like. You are not even qualified to compare with him. I don't want to see you, so don't follow us. Next time I hear you talking bad about my boyfriend, don't blame me for being rude. After saying that, he ignored Chen Changsheng, who was dumbfounded because he saw Du Zhiqiu angry for the first time. He took Chen Changliu's hand and left. Du Zhiqiu's behavior like a hen protecting its chicks also made Shen Rong and Li Sisi feel extremely unreal. Is this the same Du Zhiqiu who was as peaceful and picturesque in front of others, like a fairy? It seems that this man has a very important status in her heart. Before Chen Changliu was pulled away, he raised the hand he was holding with Du Zhiqiu, and then glanced at Chen Changsheng with a contemptuous look. I don't know if I'm qualified, but Du Zhiqiu is my girlfriend. Hey, are you jealous? Shen Rong and Li Sisi almost laughed. This person is so mean. The two of them stopped caring about Chen Chongsheng and followed him silently and curiously. As Chen Changliu walked, he looked up and down at Du Zhiqiu, who was holding his hand. He never expected that this little girl was very protective of her shortcomings. Looking at Du Zhiqiu, who was still angry, Chen Changliu joked. "Beauty, you were so domineering just now, tsk, why don't I just be your little nanny from now on, and you can take care of me?" Puff. 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 The three girls laughed out loud one after another. Du Zhiqiu couldn't help but put his hand on Chen Changliu's waist again, but this time he didn't twist it hard. "You're a gangster, you know how to act rogue, huh?" Seeing Du Zhiqiu smile, Chen Changliu also smiled, took her little hand again, then looked at Chen Rong and Li Sisi and said. "Chen Changliu, Zhiqiu's husband, it hurts, it really hurts this time." Before Chen Changliu finished speaking, Du Zhiqiu was really upset this time. She could still accept the title of boyfriend calmly, but the title of husband was a bit too early and a bit shy, and it was in front of her best friends and classmates. It became popular immediately, only if you get started. Moreover, Du Zhiqiu had not felt such a relaxed feeling for a long time. Every time she was with Chen Changliu, he would always make her laugh or cry. He would always use some rogue and scoundrel words to break her fairy side. Chen Rong and Li Sisi had never seen this side of Du Zhiqiu before, and they were very surprised, and then they started laughing. Then in their eyes, apart from being handsome, Chen Changliu was also a smooth-tongued man. Chen Rong Li Sisi. When Li Sisi introduced herself, Chen Changliu still secretly took a second look. The most important thing was that this kid didn't know how he grew up, and he was very fierce. After Li Sisi said her name, she suddenly remembered something. "That's not right, handsome guy. Your name is Chen Changliu. What's your relationship with Chen Chongsheng? Judging from the situation, you should both come from the same place as Zhiqiu, but your names are only one character different. What's going on?" Li Sisi asked the doubts in her heart, and even Chen Rong looked at him. Chen Changliu originally wanted to explain, but Du Zhiqiu didn't give him a chance. "There's nothing to discuss about this matter. You just need to know that he is my boyfriend." Du Zhiqiu's words made the two women suppress their questions back in their stomachs. "Come on, I just made some money. I'm going to treat you today. You can have whatever you want." "That's enough." Chen Changliu waved his hand and said grandly, making the three girls laugh. Li Sisi asked in surprise, "Where did you earn the money? You are not a freshman, you must have just finished military training, right?" Even Du Zhiqiu became curious. One of Chen Changliu's excuses for coming to Yangqing early was about making money. She believed in his ability, but wasn't he in military training some time ago? Chen Changliu would definitely not tell anyone about making money in the futures market and would just make it up. "Yes, I earned it by selling sanitary napkins during military training." Several women blushed and made noises of surprise. Du Zhiqiu patted him and said coquettishly, "You are a real person, and you are fooling people. How can any female student be willing to buy sanitary napkins from you?" Chen Rong and Li Sisi also looked at Chen Changliu speechlessly. They didn't believe it. In this era, when a man went to the canteen to buy sanitary napkins, he was a monster. They definitely didn't believe that Chen Changliu took sanitary napkins and sold them to female students. Chen Changliu was not annoyed. He took Du Zhiqiu's little hand, played with it, and said with a smile, "Of course they are not sold to female classmates, but to male classmates." Chen Changliu's words made them even more confused. "Don't you know that during military training, if you put a sanitary napkin under your shoes, you won't suffer so much?" After Chen Changliu finished speaking, the women, "You looked at me and I looked at you," and then suddenly realized. "That's okay. Hey, my feet still hurt now. Zhiqiu, why didn't your boyfriend tell me earlier?" Du Zhiqiu also came to his senses, then looked at Chen Changliu, bit his lip, and looked at Chen Changliu with an aggrieved look. "My feet hurt too." When Chen Changliu saw this, he wished he could give himself a slap. Of course, he didn't sell sanitary napkins, he just found a random excuse. After all, in many novels he read in his previous life, during the military training in college, the male protagonists sold sanitary napkins to make money, but he forgot that his girlfriend was there. He was rough-skinned and thick-skinned. This military training was trivial to him, but he was not very friendly to Zhiqiu. Chen Changliu surrendered directly and agreed to owe them 2 meals before ending the matter. Li Sisi rolled her eyes, took Zhiqiu's arm and teased. "Zhiqiu, look, your man doesn't feel sorry for you at all. I see, just kick him away. After all, men are just things that are external to the body." Li Sisi's words made Shenrong and Zhiqiu laugh. Only Chen Changliu deliberately glared at Li Sisi fiercely, but in fact, he was secretly looking at the place where her super-large arm was rubbing against Zhiqiu's arm, and what he was thinking in his mind was, "It's all deformed, hey, why isn't it my arm?" But she didn't let go of Li Sisi and said, "Sometimes a man is something external to the body, but sometimes it can also be something inside the body." Zhiqiu, who had been with Chen Changliu for a long time, was the first to react and directly chased Chen Changliu with a red face, leaving the 2 girls with confused faces, but it was Shenrong who saw Zhiqiu's reaction. After thinking about it several times, she was the first to react. Then she blushed and said "Bah" and cursed hooligan, and when Li Sisi also learned what Shenrong meant, Chen Changliu was directly labeled as a gangster in the minds of the 2 girls. While Chen Changliu and Zhiqiu were flirting, a man walked towards them. It was Chang, Zhiqiu's high school monitor. In the text message Chen Changxing sent him, it was suspected that Zhiqiu's boyfriend was here. He came in a hurry and was actually met by him. Seeing Zhiqiu and Chen Changliu flirting, Chang could be said to be very jealous. After going to college, although he was still in love with Zhiqiu, he knew Zhiqiu's attitude towards him, and there were more temptations in college than in high school, so he no longer insisted on hanging Zhiqiu's tree, but he still had illusions. Unlike Chen Changxing, who is still clinging to the tree of Zhiqiu, especially after knowing the relationship between Chen Changliu and Zhiqiu. Now he is thinking about how to snatch Zhiqiu away. He will never admit that he has been obsessed with him since he was a child. Chen Changliu, who was stepping on him, actually snatched away the girl of his dreams. After Chang adjusted his facial expression, he walked over with a smile. Chapter 45 Be good and call me husband. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhiqiu, oh, Chen Changliu, why did you come to our Zhongda? Don't hit a smiling person. Although he felt that Chang was a little pretentious, Chen Changliu still smiled and responded. Come here to feel the learning atmosphere of Zhongda, so that I can have the motivation to spur myself on. That's good, we will take you on a tour. After all, the learning atmosphere of the University of Finance and Economics is really not as good as that of Zhongda. Chen Changliu, I remember you scored 535 points in the college entrance examination, right? I think you should repeat the year and take the exam again. You may also be able to get into Zhongda. The admission score of Zhongda is not that high, only 620 points. You still have a chance if you work hard and repeat the year. Chen Changliu looked at Chang who was complaining there, and was very speechless. The 3 women could also taste Chang's purpose from it, which was to disgust and suppress Chen Changliu. Shenrong and Li Sisi were just watching with a melon-eating mentality. The smile on Zhiqiu's face disappeared, but Chang didn't say anything too much. It's not easy to turn his face away. After all, he was the class monitor for 3 years in high school. I appreciate the kindness of the class monitor of Zheng University, but I have limited talent in learning. Even if I repeat 2 years, it will be difficult to get into Zhongda. Chang smiled even more brightly when he heard Chen Changliu's words. He thought Chen Changliu had given up. At this time, Chen Changliu took Zhiqiu's little hand and played with it, making Zhiqiu's ears red, but he didn't pull his hand away. While playing with Zhiqiu's little hand, Chen Changliu looked at Chang with a stiff face and said, "But, my girlfriend is good at studying. It doesn't matter if I can't go to Zhongda. It's better to find a school beauty from Zhongda as a girlfriend." Puchi. Shenrong and Li Sisi couldn't help laughing when they saw Chen Changliu's rogue look. this guy can only be described as a mean person, the same routine as the one that just pissed off Chen Changliu. Anyway, you all say I can't do this, I can't do that, but your goddess is my girlfriend. Chen Chang's expression was the same as Chen Changliu's just now, as if he had just eaten a pile of hot shit. However, Chen Chang's psychological quality was quite strong, and he quickly adjusted himself, saying with a smile, then congratulations, but as your horizons broaden, if you still do this, I believe that when the time comes, Zhiqiu won't leave you, and you won't have the face to stay with him. Hearing Chen Chang's words, Chen Changliu actually looked at Chen Chang a few more times. Not all of them were fools. Don't worry, you won't see that day, squad leader Zheng, we're going to have dinner, together, that it's an invitation, but anyone can see that Chen Changliu doesn't really want to invite him. Nonsense, who wants to have a fly next to him when eating to disgust him, although he knows there's no threat, it's still annoying. Okay. Chen Chang's words made Chen Changliu speechless. As expected, it's not just him who's thick-skinned. Class monitor Zheng, how could I not see that you are so thick-skinned when we were in high school? I'm sorry. People grow up. The conversation between the two men made the women laugh. Finally, they found a roadside stall selling spicy hot pot, which the three women unanimously agreed to. It was not to save him money, but mainly because they liked it. From the looks in their eyes, he finally understood why in the future, a bowl of spicy hot pot would get you a room. During the meal, the two little girls chattered about the good things about Zhongda, and Chen Changliu did not argue with the two little girls. This sense of honor should be said to be something that every student has. I can say that my alma mater is not good, and when others say that my alma mater is not good, I will always refute them. When Chen Changliu naturally took out a tissue and reached out to wipe the juice from the corner of Du Zhiqiu's mouth, his movements were so gentle. This time, Du Zhiqiu did not blush, but gave Chen Changliu a sweet smile, and his almond eyes were full of tenderness. Chen Chang peeked at her from the side, his eyes widened. He had never seen Du Zhiqiu like this before, but then he felt bitter again, because this smile, this touch of tenderness was for someone else. After eating the spicy hot pot, it was almost 7 o'clock, and it was getting dark. After Chen Changliu sent a few people away, he strolled on the street with Du Zhiqiu. Before school started, you said you were going to work to go to college. Is that true? The money you earned in the summer vacation should be enough for you to finish 4 years of college. If not, I still have some here. Don't delay your studies. Du Zhiqiu's concern made Chen Changliu feel warm in his heart. He suddenly stopped, hugged Du Zhiqiu into his arms, and then kissed her tempting red lips. After a long time, their lips parted. Du Zhiqiu's breathing was a little rapid. She blushed and embraced Chen Changliu's arms. The kiss did not make Du Zhiqiu blush, but something made her heart beat faster. Chen Changliu finally suppressed the surging blood. Alas, the young body is impulsive. Chen Changliu, I'm really not ready. Hearing Du Zhiqiu's shy voice in his arms, Chen Changliu was happy. It's okay, brother will wait for you. Whose brother are you, so cheesy? I'm Du Zhiqiu's lover. How cheesy, how can I call you husband? No, just call me Chen Changliu. It doesn't sound good. Be good, call me husband to give you popsicles. Chen Changliu. Chapter 46 Wu Bo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At 9 o'clock in the evening, Chen Changliu sent Du Zhiqiu downstairs to the dormitory, watched Du Zhiqiu go upstairs, and then turned and left. Du Zhiqiu, who had just returned to the dormitory, was pulled aside by Shenrong and Li Sisi to whisper. She had a good relationship with them in the dormitory, while the others were very cold. TSK, Zhiqiu, I thought you weren't coming back tonight. Why, your little puppy is actually willing to let you back. What a little bitch. Are you a little bitch? Li Sisi's smiling words attracted Du Zhiqiu's counterattack. It could be said that the calm lake surface attracted waves in the sea while the two were playing, making Shenrong, a woman, jealous. After the two had enough trouble, Shenrong and Li Sisi began to inquire about Chen Changliu's information, and were especially interested in why Du Zhiqiu fell in love with Chen Changliu, who had poor academic performance. Du Zhiqiu selectively revealed some things, especially about Chen Changliu leading them to earn tuition fees. Zhiqiu couldn't hide the pride on his face. Do you know that the tuition for my current schooling is not paid by my family, but I earn it myself? Do you know why? After whetting the appetites of the two of them, Zhiqiu proudly said. Because Chen Changliu led 5 of us to run a street stall during the summer vacation to earn money. It can be said that during the 2 months of summer vacation, we earned enough for our tuition and living expenses for the next 4 years. That's awesome. It's not like you little brats who are still using your family's money. You all don't know that even though my boyfriend's academic performance is not as good as mine, during those 2 months, I was just a student in front of him. Shenrong and Li Sisi were surprised to hear that Chen Changliu had led 5 classmates to make so much money during his summer vacation, but seeing Zhiqiu's proud tone and show-off expression, the two of them immediately broke their defenses. Look, a gorgeous girl from the University of China is actually showing off her boyfriend from the University of Finance and Economics. Hey, this sounds a bit awkward. Shouldn't the boyfriend from the University of Finance and Economics show off that he has a girlfriend who is the campus beauty of the Chinese University of Chinese Medicine? Of course Chen Changliu didn't know that Zhiqiu was showing off himself in the dormitory. Instead of going back to the dormitory, he returned to the house he rented off campus. D was relatively sluggish in the futures market today. Although it once rose to 27.38, it fell all the way after the opening in the evening and closed at 27.13. Yesterday, Chen Changliu bought it with 27.10. What he earned today can only be said to be better than nothing. The next day, at a coffee shop near the community, Chen Changliu looked at a resume handed to him by a headhunter. Wu Bo, male, 28 years old, graduated from Western Polytechnic University. He was originally the head of a technical research group in the technology department of Lianxiang Group. However, due to the group's change of route, he was transferred to other positions and has experience in production management. After hearing the headhunter's introduction, Chen Changliu's eyes lit up. It completely met his requirements, but he frowned again after thinking about it. Mr. Liu, let me interrupt. With Wu Bo's current age and his current stage in Lianxiang Group, how could he be interested in my company, which is in the preparatory stage? According to Chen Changliu's initial prediction, he would definitely be able to recruit people, but they should be people from small factories. He didn't dare to think of people from domestic giant electronics companies like Lianxiang Group. If he were older, Chen Changliu, who was eliminated, could still understand, but it would be even less likely for someone of Wu Bo's age, so he had questions. That's right, Mr. Chen, Wu Bo is still interviewing for positions in other major factories. As for why he is interested in your company, I don't know. Chen Changliu didn't speak. He thought for a while and said, Mr. Liu, you can arrange the interview with Wu Bo, and at the same time, continue to help me find other people. Mr. Liu nodded to express his understanding. He was not optimistic that Wu Bo would fall in love with Chen Changliu, a shell company with nothing. However, as a professional, you must do professional things and contact Wu Bo immediately. After a few minutes, he hung up the phone and said, Mr. Chen, he said that he has interviews scheduled for today and tomorrow, and will come to your company for an interview the day after tomorrow. When Chen Changliu heard this answer, he raised his eyebrows. It seemed that he was not the one Wu Bo was more optimistic about, but it doesn't matter. You can only know whether it can be successful if you meet in person. Chen Changliu took leave for the next 2 days and did not go to class. The factory has been vacated today. At noon, he had already gone over to take over and the recruitment work had already been done. In the evening, I continued to run to the rental house and didn't return to the dormitory until 10 o'clock. In the past 2 days, the bean price has risen to 2,755, and he has earned nearly 60,000 yuan. Excluding the expenses he spent on renting the factory, his total assets have exceeded 400,000 yuan. After going through what he was going to talk to Wu Bo about tomorrow in his mind, Chen Changliu fell asleep. A signboard had been hung at the gate of Zhongda Technology Company, Limited, and Chen Changliu met Wu Bo. Dressed in casual clothes and wearing a pair of glasses, he looked very young. He made a good first impression on Chen Changliu. He had a bookish air, which was in line with the temperament of a technician. Wu Bo was a little surprised when he saw Chen Changliu, and at the same time he was a little disappointed. Although he tried his best to hide it, Chen Changliu could still see it. it should be due to his youth and lack of popularity in the whole building, but Chen Changliu didn't care. He stretched out his hand and said with a slight smile, "Hello, Mr. Wu, I can finally meet you. I will show you around here first, and then we will talk." It didn't take long for Wu Bo to visit the entire factory. He had given up hope. Although he heard that it was very quiet inside at the gate just now, there was no one inside. "Is this also a company?" The two sat on two stools on the first floor. Chen Changliu handed him a bottle of mineral water and smiled. "Mr. Wu must be very disappointed here, right?" That Wu Bo nodded and said without hiding it, "Mr. Chen, Mr. Liu said that your company is in preparation, but I can't even see anyone." We are recruiting people. Mr. Liu should have told you what my main product will be in the future, right?" "Yes, he said that your company's main product will be MP3. "Yes and no." Chen Changliu's words made Wu Bo a little curious. "Mr. Chen means that MP3 is just a transitional product?" "Yes, MP3 is just a transitional product in the initial stage. My ultimate goal is to make mobile phones." Chen Changliu's words still made Wu Bo interested, because before he left, he was rotating in the mobile phone-related department established by Lianxiang Group last year. This young man's goal is actually mobile phones, which still makes him look at him with new eyes. However, when he thought of the knockoff mobile phones that began to appear on the market this year, he thought he had understood Chen Changliu's purpose. "Mr. Chen wants to make knockoff mobile phones." Chen Changliu smiled and shook his head. "No, I want to build a brand from MP3 and then enter the mobile phone industry. You also know that the audience of MP3 is young people, so if our brand is well built, it will be much easier to transition to mobile phones." Chapter 47 Ke Meng Calls Drunk. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Next, the two talked about MP3 industry trends, but more about mobile phones. Chen Changliu has a vision for the next 20 years, which is definitely unmatched by Wu Bo. When Chen Changliu came up with concepts such as smartphones and touch screens without keyboards, Wu Bo was still shocked. Looking at Chen Changliu, who was much younger than himself, he just felt that this man had something in his mind. Touch-screen mobile phones have appeared in 2003, but they are completely different from what Chen Changliu said. If the concept mobile phone mentioned by Chen Changliu can be produced, it will definitely be a product that changes the mobile phone industry. Wu Bo gave Chen Changliu the feeling that this person was very quick in thinking and had a strong ability to accept new things, and he is just painting the pie. He doesn't think that he has the ability to come up with a smartphone before Apple, nor does he feel that he has the ability to come up with an operating system earlier than Android. It is one thing to know the future trends, but it is more important to have relevant talents and technologies and whether the market has been cultivated. He just wanted to keep Wu Bo to lay the foundation for him and let him help him occupy a place in this wave. Chen Changliu finally stopped discussing the mobile phone with Wu Bo, but looked at Wu Bo seriously and said, "Mr. Wu, can I ask you why you are willing to come to interview me?" "Well, to be honest, I just think your salary is high enough, but what Mr. Chen threw out attracted me. Frank enough, honest enough. Then have you ever thought about starting your own business?" "To be honest, I have thought about it, but that was a month ago. Now because of family affairs, not only have I spent all my savings, but I also owe a lot of money. But I believe I can pay it back in a few years. But starting a business is impossible." When Wu Bo finished saying this, his face looked a little bitter, and then he quickly became confident again. Chen Changliu looked at the confident Wu Bo in front of him and couldn't help but sigh. This man is very confident, and his confidence comes from his belief in his own abilities. Mr. Wu is very candid, but... Chen Changliu shrugged helplessly and said, "It's a pity that I can't invite Mr. Wu." Why? That Wu Bo couldn't believe it. He wasn't necessarily very interested before, but after discussing with Chen Changliu, he felt that Chen Changliu might be the person who changed his career. Although it was a bit false, he could bet that he was still young, but Chen Changliu refused. To be honest, he thought that he was already giving in if he was willing to come. Why should Chen Changliu look down on him? Chen Changliu looked at Wu Bo, who was losing his temper, and smiled. He took a sip of water and said, "To be honest, Mr. Wu is very good. He is so good that I feel a little worried. I'm afraid you will leave soon. After hearing Chen Changliu's words, Wu Bo could say nothing more and was about to leave. Chen Changliu said again, Mr. Wu, just kidding, I have a suggestion. Do you want to hear it? That Wu Bo's eyes brightened, he sat down again and said, Mr. Chen, please speak. To be honest, I am a little unwilling to miss out on a talent like Mr. Wu. I have a plan for you to consider. I can hire Mr. Wu in the form of salary plus dividends, mainly responsible for R&D and production. Mr. Wu's annual salary for the first 3 years is 100,000, and he can get 5% of the net profit. If Mr. Wu can do 3 in the year, these dividends can be turned into fixed shares, and Mr. Wu will be the boss by then, no different from starting his own business. Wu Bo narrowed his eyes, lowered his head and began to think deeply. After much hesitation, he finally agreed to Chen Changliu's invitation. Not only because of the incentive of shares, but more importantly because of Chen Changliu's ambition, a profit of 5% is actually quite a lot. He had done some research before coming here. The MP3 industry is very profitable at this stage. As long as the business is done well, it is not a problem to make 2 or 3 million a year, with a generous income. What attracted him was that Chen Changliu had unique insights into the development of mobile phones, and the prospects Chen Changliu described to him made him want to stop. When Chen Changliu and Wu Bo held hands together, Chen Changliu suddenly felt relaxed. Finally, he had a technical person to share his burden. After it was confirmed that Wu Bo had joined, it was already 6 o'clock in the afternoon. The two of them took a taxi directly to dinner and asked for a private room. The two began to talk about the company's next development of MP3. It was left to Wu Bo to form a technical team, and he also needed to recruit personnel for other positions, especially the finance department. After eating, drinking, and chatting, it ended at 8:30 in the evening. When Chen Changliu saw Wu Bo off and was about to go back to school, the phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it belonged to Ke Meng. Since the last time he said he would take her into the woods and scare her away, he has not contacted her. Why did he call him now? If you can't figure it out, don't think about it. After the call was connected, I was about to make a few jokes, but Ke Meng's voice came over the phone. Little pervert, pick me up at the Xixi Hotel. I'm in a private room. Then the call was hung up, leaving Chen Changliu stunned for a moment, but he soon remembered that when Ke Meng spoke, he sounded a bit like a drunk person. Are you drunk? But why are you looking for me when you are drunk? You call me a little pervert and ask me to pick you up. I don't understand. But thinking of the fairy-like Ke Meng, Chen Changliu felt a little hot, so forget it, let's go. Lin Hao was persuading Ke Meng to drink, and he finally used some tricks to control Ke Meng. I will take down this little bitch tonight no matter what, to see if she is still arrogant in front of me. Looking at Ke Meng, who was blushing and drunk, Lin Hao felt hot all over, but he knew that the heat was not enough. He had tried to hug her several times, but she had blocked her. But it doesn't matter. I believe it won't take long. Once it is in place, it can be ravaged without restraint. The more I thought about him, the more energetic he became, and the more diligently he persuaded Ke Meng to drink. Ke Meng looked almost ready, but in fact she was just pretending. Although she had already started to have sex, it was not as good as she showed on her face. When she just went to the bathroom, she secretly called Chen Changliu and asked him to come pick her up. She didn't know why she called that little pervert, but he really couldn't find anyone to reassure him. Chen Changliu was very talkative and even shouted that he would take her to the woods, but he never took the initiative to send a message or call him, so he could only choose to believe Chen Changliu. However, as Lin Hao and his few friends became more and more diligent, she began to be unable to bear it anymore. She was looking forward to Chen Changliu's arrival soon. Can she fall out with Lin Hao now? What would his father do if he fell out? If you don't fall out, wouldn't you be like a sheep in a tiger's mouth tonight? While Ke Meng was anxious, the door of the box was finally pushed open. Chapter 48. Eat Ke Meng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone in the box looked towards the door, including Lin Hao and Ke Meng. When Ke Meng saw Chen Changliu, he felt much more at ease, while Lin Hao looked ugly because he had recognized Chen Changliu as the boy who was very close to Ke Meng in the future's company. Lin Hao stood up and said angrily, "Who let you in?" Chen Changliu had already seen the scene in the box. He was not angry at Lin Hao's words and just said lightly, "I'm here to pick up Ke Meng." At this time, Ke Meng also stood up, staggered over, and said with a drunken expression and a soft voice, "My dear, how did you know I'm here? Didn't I ask you to sleep first and I'll be back soon?" Ke Meng's words made Lin Hao's angry face turn livid. Could it be that Ke Meng and this kid already lived together, so wouldn't he not be able to drink the soup? This made him even more angry, and all his henchmen stood up. Seeing the boss's expression, of course they knew what to do. "Boy, get out of here, did we let you in?" Chen Changliu ignored them and looked at Ke Meng, who was staggering over. He knew that he had become a shield again, and suddenly held her in his arms. "Maid, I want some interest first." The goblin is soft in his arms. Everywhere is soft. The soft waist is even softer when pressed against the chest. Moreover, Chen Changliu can feel that Ke Meng is plumper than Zhiqiu. How should I put it? That is, the places where flesh should be absolutely explosive. Ke Meng, who was suddenly hugged by Chen Changliu, stiffened and then softened. He had no choice but to drink too much. Chen Changliu and Ke Meng hugged each other, which aroused Lin Hao even more. He took an empty wine bottle and wanted to teach Chen Changliu a lesson, but he was very good at it. He immediately ran to Chen Changliu with an empty wine bottle, pointed at him with the empty wine bottle and cursed. "Boy, let go of my sister-in-law and get out, or you won't be able to get out for a while." Before he finished speaking, Chen Changliu, who was holding Ke Meng, suddenly moved. He instantly grabbed the empty wine bottle pointed at him by the dogleg, grabbed it with all his strength, then threw it, grabbed the neck of the bottle and smashed it down. Bang! Ah! The sound of the empty wine bottle hitting the dog's head and the scream shocked everyone. Even Ke Meng, who was being held by Chen Changliu and wouldn't let go, turned around in surprise. Then he saw Doglegs, who was covering his forehead and howling miserably. After Chen Changliu finished fighting, while Lin Hao and others were in a daze, he hugged Ke Meng and left the box. Lin Hao and the others were really confused. They were startled by Chen Changliu's ruthless and decisive attitude without even saying a word. By the time they all reacted, Chen Changliu had already run away with Ke Meng. Ke Meng was dragged away by Chen Changliu, but when he left the hotel, he was blown by the wind, his feet shook, and his head became dizzy. Chen Changliu was afraid that Lin Hao would chase her out, so he carried her on his back and avoided the sight of the hotel entrance. In a few moments, when they were far away from the hotel entrance, when Chen Changliu wanted to put her down, Ke Meng held his arms around his neck and refused to let her go, because she fell in love with the feeling of lying on Chen Changliu's body. She felt safe and this man smelled good. "Can't you get off?" "Well, if you don't want to go down, you can carry me on your back again." Ke Meng was drunk with alcohol and started acting coquettishly. She also moved on his back to find a more comfortable position. At this moment, Chen Changliu couldn't bear it even more. He held Ke Meng's slender thigh with his hand and squeezed it a few times, causing Ke Meng on his back to make a squeaking sound. Chen Changliu finally suppressed the evil fire in his heart and asked, "Where are you going?" "Whatever you want, let me go." "What kind of answer is this?" Chen Changliu almost collapsed. "Are you asking me to make mistakes?" Chen Changliu was so angry that he slapped her on the butt. "Speaking of human words, do you know that you are inviting people to commit crimes by saying this? I couldn't help it for a while. Don't blame me for going into the woods." Chen Changliu's slap caused Ke Meng to make a sound that made Chen Changliu's blood begin to surge. Ke Meng, who was lying on Chen Changliu, exhaled a breath and blew it on Chen Changliu's ear, making Chen Changliu shudder all over. "Little pervert, take me into the woods, you don't have the courage, huh?" The last word is soft and waxy, more like a temptation. "Mad, uncle can bear it, but I can't bear it anymore. You forced me to do this." Of course, Chen Changliu didn't go into the woods, but quickly took her to the rental house where even Zhiqiu had never been. When she entered the community, Ke Meng had sobered up a lot. She also understood clearly what the situation was. She was also timid, but soon she made up her mind. It would be better to take advantage of this little guy than to take advantage of that bastard. Sadder, thinking of her several encounters and the decisiveness with which she took her away tonight in order to protect herself, she realized that she didn't understand this little pervert, but at least she didn't hate him. Ke Meng, who had made up his mind, did not back down. Chen Changliu, who was a prodigal son in his previous life, now knew that he would definitely be able to eat meat tonight, unless he didn't want to eat it, but he was not Lu Xiaohui. With his young body drawing maps every day, he could not treat his younger brother badly. When Chen Changliu put Ke Meng on the soft big bed, he looked at Ke Meng lying there with a hint of complexity in his drunken and hazy eyes, but also full of endless charm. The slender thighs wrapped in black stockings under the suit skirt, even if lying on their backs, are still amazing, and the curves tell Chen Changliu that this woman is mature. When Chen Changliu appeared in front of Ke Meng, she finally knew why Chen Changliu said that she was an animal, and she was a little worried about herself. Before she fell asleep tiredly, the sadness in her eyes was captured by Chen Changliu. He had many doubts. Why Ke Meng was drinking with Lin Hao there? Why did she give her intact to him? Although he knew that he was handsome, he didn't believe that Ke Meng, who had kept herself intact for 22 years, would give herself to him just because they met 3 times, but no matter what, this woman is now his woman, and can only be his woman. He doesn't like to be in the same boat with others. As for what Zhiqiu would do after knowing it, Chen Changliu didn't think about it. The mentality of the prodigal son in his previous life affected him and made him ignore this problem. Chapter 49. What will be our relationship in the future? You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the morning, when Chen Changliu woke up, he could feel the softness of the body in his arms. Ke Meng was hugging his waist sideways, with half of his body supporting him. Chen Changliu looked over and saw the tears in the corners of the sleeping Ke Meng's eyes and the faint smile on the corners of his mouth, which was very contradictory. This was the first time Chen Changliu saw Ke Meng in this state. Ke Meng, who had not opened his eyes, was a little less charming, but a little more innocent. Well, how should I put it, each has its own charm. When Chen Changliu looked down, his blood began to boil. Although he already knew that Ke Meng was fierce last night, the changes that happened to him now made him have an urge to ravage him and her. Chen Changliu took action, and then Ke Meng woke up. Then Ke Meng's face turned red and white, and he pressed Chen Changliu's hand and said in shock, "Little pervert, stop, 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 you are just an animal, are you going to let me live?" In the end, Chen Changliu let her go and only charged a little interest. Hugging Ke Meng into his arms again, Ke Meng lay on his chest and listened to his heartbeat, and gradually calmed down. "Girl, why were you there last night? Of course you don't have to say it if you don't want to, but you also know that last night was dangerous. You are not an idiot. I can get there in time this time, but what about the next time? Tell me, I just want to know if I can help you." Ke Meng was silent. Under other circumstances, she might have spoken out without any worries, but in this situation, she didn't know how to speak. If she told her, Chen Changliu could help her again, and it would feel like he had sacrificed his body for it. After a long silence, she still couldn't think of any solution. She sighed and said quietly, "Our family has always taken over Lin Hao's business. Some time ago, Lin Hao's company placed an order for my father. The quantity was large and the time was very urgent. It was obviously beyond the capacity of my father's small factory. I tried to persuade my father, but he wouldn't listen. For some reason, he couldn't get a bank loan right away, so he borrowed a high-interest loan to expand production. However, during delivery, some products had quality problems. Because they could not complete the delivery with quality and quantity, they faced huge compensation, and the compensation date was not fixed when the contract was signed. Although our family has saved a little money over the years, if the compensation is paid, our family will have no money to repay the loan sharks. It will be very troublesome then. As you know, those loan sharks have compound interest rates, and they can do anything. Then Lin Hao made an appointment with me yesterday and wanted to talk about this matter and said he could help me solve this problem. Of course I know Lin Hao's purpose, but I have no choice. As long as their company can postpone the compensation for 3 months, our family can still make ends meet." After listening to Ke Meng's story, Chen Changliu was a little confused. Why is there a quality problem? Didn't your father check it? Hearing Chen Changliu's question, Ke Meng smiled bitterly. Of course I checked, but the relevant person in charge has disappeared long ago, and I don't know where he went. After hearing this, you should understand that this is actually premeditated, and the target is me. Of course Chen Changliu also understood that there was collusion between internal and external parties, calculated mentally and unintentionally, and that the usual production management process was not strict enough, which gave others an opportunity to take advantage of him. How much money does your family owe to loan sharks? When is the final repayment date? 2 million with principal and interest, due on October 18th. 2 million, October 18th, and now September 26th, which is less than 20 days. No wonder Ke Meng agreed to go to the appointment. What would be the consequences if I didn't show up in time? Could it be that in her previous life, there were rumors at school that she was being kept as a foster child because of this incident? But this time she has become his own woman, and he has become her first man. He cannot leave such a top-notch woman alone. He calculated his existing assets. He didn't look at the futures market last night. Based on the day before yesterday, he only had 400,000. However, as he accumulates more and more principal, he believes that he can earn more than 2 million by mid-October. He remembered that Di's market price rose to more than 3,200 points in mid-October, and now it is only over 2,700 points. With an increase of 500 points in the middle, it would be a waste if he could not turn 400,000 into more than 2 million. Moreover, Huazhuangjia Technology Company can start up with hundreds of thousands as working capital. After calculating, Chen Changliu stroked the silent Ke Meng, who was nestled in his arms, and said, "If Lin Hao comes to you in the future, you don't have to pay attention to him. I will help you with the 2 million loan shark, but I have to issue an IOU, and it won't be too late to pay it back after your family has recovered. But it doesn't matter if you don't pay it back, I'll use you to pay off the debt." Hearing Chen Changliu's words, Ke Meng's eyes lit up, but at the same time he felt guilty. Last night, he called Chen Changliu to pick her up. Firstly, he felt that Chen Changliu could be trusted. In fact, he might not have thought about asking Chen Changliu for help. After all, a freshman could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to speculate in futures, and her family didn't have any capital. Don't believe it. And she knew that this guy had made nearly 300,000 yuan in less than a month. Of course, she never thought that Chen Changliu's family would really give him 2 million to help her family, so she could only say that it was a matter of life and death. She hadn't thought about getting something for nothing, but at least this Chen Changliu was much better than that scumbag Lin Hao. It was better to give it to him for the first time than to that bastard Lin Hao. She didn't say anything, but hugged Chen Changliu tightly, tears flowing from her eyes, wetting Chen Changliu's chest. The tears were not only because the pressure on her body disappeared, but also because of her guilt towards Chen Changliu. Chen Changliu gently stroked her fair and smooth back. At this moment, he had no other messy thoughts. He also knew Ke Meng's little thoughts, but he could accept such little thoughts. Besides, he had picked this fairy from the University of Finance and Economics. After a long time, Ke Meng stopped crying, raised her head, and looked at Chen Changliu with a little red and swollen eyes. "Will you look down on me? No, there are too many people in this world who only care about themselves and ignore family affection, but you sacrifice yourself for your family. Who dares to look down on you?" These words really came from Chen Changliu's feelings. Then what will be our relationship in the future? P.S. I will update the typos first and then correct them. Chapter 50. That man is not greedy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this time, Chen Changliu finally realized that, yes, he had Zhiqiu, and it was impossible for him to give up Zhiqiu for Ke Meng, but it seemed that it was not his style to give up Ke Meng because of Zhiqiu. Looking at the expectant Ke Meng, Chen Changliu's scalp was a little numb. He turned over and pressed her down, and said viciously in an exaggerated and joking tone, "Humph, you are the little girl I bought. Be good, call me brother, no, call me daddy." Ke Meng was directly amused by Chen Changliu's shamelessness and temporarily ignored the matter. "Ah, little pervert, you are so shameless." "Ah, I won't, just call me little pervert." "Oh, hate it, I haven't recovered yet, stop, call me brother, right?" After making trouble, the two of them unanimously put some things aside. Chen Changliu went to buy breakfast. After eating, he let Ke Meng continue to rest and went to the study, turn on the computer, log into the software, and check the market of D. The closing price last night was 2,783. After closing the position at 2,755 the day before yesterday, I went long at 27.45 and bought 145 lots. This means I made 55,000 yesterday. Today's opening price was 2,790, but it started to fall soon and has now fallen to 27.72. At this time, Ke Meng walked into the study room unsteadily, then lay on his shoulder and looked at the computer screen with him. Little pervert, now. Pa. Ah, hate it. Ke Meng covered her butt and said coquettishly. What did you call me? Ke Meng rolled her eyes at him. Brother, it's okay, hum. The trend may need to be adjusted. There is still profit now. Should we sell it first and see if there is a chance to buy it again? Chen Changliu hugged her and let her sit on his legs, then stroked her slender, white and smooth thighs and said. Don't worry, wait and see, now is not a good opportunity, there should be a lot of fluctuations today. Chen Changliu still waited for the opportunity and sold all at 27.88, making a net profit of 62,000, and the total account balance was 466,700 all day, except for Chen Changliu going to buy fast food. The two did not go out again, but Ke Meng was not convenient, and Chen Changliu's body, which had just started eating meat, could not continue to eat meat. In the afternoon, Chen Changliu bought 168 lots at an average price of 27.76. The situation suddenly changed in the late trading, and the price went up all the way, reaching 28.52 in the late trading. Ke Meng looked at the closing price of D on the computer, and then looked at Chen Changliu. She felt that this guy was lucky. In one afternoon and evening, the price he bought rose by 76 points, and he made 120,000 yuan directly. The account balance increased from more than 460,000 yuan to 590,000 yuan, then she was stunned to see Chen Changliu sell all at 28.50, and then buy 206 lots at 28.51. Little pervert, are you so confident that it will rise tomorrow? It's easy to get into trouble if you buy so much. It's okay. Anyway, the market is so good now. Even if it falls, it shouldn't reach the point where your company forces me to close my position. By the way, how much private money do you have? Why don't you buy some too? Ke Meng also has a futures account, but she doesn't play it normally. Now seeing Chen Changliu's speed of making money, she also feels itchy. Okay, I only have 10,000 yuan, how about you help me buy a few hands? Chen Changliu didn't expect that this goblin could still save 10,000 yuan. It seems that her parents usually give her a lot of pocket money. He hugged Ke Meng's slender waist and laughed. It's so little, can I buy in? I will do my best. Ke Meng suddenly shook her whole body, and then her whole body softened, and she fell directly into Chen Changliu's arms. But she still stretched out a little hand and twisted Chen Changliu's ear. Brother, why are you so lustful? While you are driving non-stop in your mouth, you are also not honest in other places. I tell you, it's not possible today, otherwise with your ability as a beast, I won't be able to go out tomorrow. Ke Meng really felt that Chen Changliu was talking nonsense. She had also seen several small movies herself. When she heard a lot of things, combined with Chen Changliu's expression, she knew it. Listening to Ke Meng's words, Chen Changliu was satisfied in his heart. Hee, it's okay. Anyway, you promised me to invest. Hee, it doesn't matter if it's 1 day later or 1 day earlier. 2 days later, on the weekend, Ke Meng went home to deal with the next things with her parents, while Chen Changliu accompanied Zhiqiu to buy a computer. On the campus of Zhongda University, Chen Changliu was on the way to send Zhiqiu back to the dormitory. Chen Changliu carried a lot of bags, and Zhiqiu crossed his arm. Not shy or shy, she didn't care about the eyes of her classmates. I'm going back to Guangnan to see my grandparents during the National Day. Are you really not going back with me? Chen Changliu wanted to go back to see his grandmother, but he was busy next. The unified interviews for the company's recruitment were all held during the National Day, and he had to set up the company's framework during the National Day. No, there's no point in going back, and you can't be with me all day, and I have work to do, you know, I have to work hard, otherwise I won't be able to support you in the future, and what if you despise me then? Oh, my heart bleeds when I think of you abandoning me. Seeing Chen Changliu making a fool of himself, Du Zhiqiu pinched him twice in anger. Not serious at all, hum. Who said I'm not serious? After falling in love with you, I feel that I'm not good enough in any way and lack confidence in any way. But for you, I'm willing to become a better person. I want to prove that I'm not a burden to you, but someone who is worthy of you. Chen Changliu blurted out his earthy love words, and Du Zhiqiu looked at him with blurred eyes. Chen Changliu found that these earthy love words that were played out in later generations were still very lethal in this era. What else is there to say? Chen Changliu hugged her and kissed her directly. This kiss was passionate and intense, because Du Zhiqiu was more active than him. When Du Zhiqiu's lips were slightly swollen, the two separated. Looking at Du Zhiqiu, who was smiling sweetly, Chen Changliu still felt a little guilty, but it was just a little, and it disappeared quickly. Which man is not greedy? Anyway, Chen Changliu felt that he was definitely greedy. Good things must not be let go, not to mention two beautiful girls at the level of school beauties. How could he bear to let go? Just dance on the tightrope, it's better than not having the chance to dance at all. P.S. I'll update the typos first and then correct them.